Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 9 of our 1991 F1 series, coming to you from Budapest in Hungary. I am Jason White. I will be your play-by-play announcer for this event. Drivers are currently in their warm-up session, getting used to full fuel loads and race tire compounds, and while they're doing that, let's run down the top 10 in qualifying for this race as time expired. On the pole, and you see him on your screen right now, Jonatan in his Marlboro McLaren MP46 with a time of 1 minute 15.927. In second place, championship leader Ray Radal, just 63 hundredths of a second back, so very competitive on row 1. Then going to row 2, starting third is Grant Radal, fourth Jules Bouchard, fifth Anders Nilsson, sixth Giovanni Centorami, seventh Tim Hilla, 8th, Ruben Fernandez, 9th, Cezariusz Lipinski, and rounding out the top 10, Dario Apa. Those are your top 10 qualifiers for today's Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. So here we are at the Hungaroring. This is a facility that's famous for introducing Formula One to the Eastern Bloc, which was a very noteworthy achievement back in the day. This is back in like 1986, I believe. Unfortunately, the track itself is not among the greatest in F1 history. I think most people would agree with that analysis. Simply put, the Hungaroring, as you can see on your screen, it consists of a series of short straights and in a lot of cases rather awkward turns, and it makes overtaking next to impossible. Now, the reason I mention this is because A, it's going to have a definite impact on the race that you watch today. My concern as a broadcaster and as a competitor, fellow competitor understanding these cars and also as a spectator, is that the configuration of this track could lead to frustration among some of our drivers as they try to advance their position. Hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully patience will reign supreme and we'll have a clean sim race, but you never know. I mean, this is a very frustrating place to drive. The one genuine overtaking opportunity on this circuit is at the entrance of turn 1. And to do that correctly, yet it starts all the way back at the exit of the final turn. Setting up your car properly, getting a good clean exit off the last turn, accelerating down the straight, and then popping out and outbraking your opponent into turn 1. This takes both skill and commitment, not to mention placing trust in the driver ahead of you to give you room and not slam the door on you. One thing's for certain, whoever starts on the pole, which we mentioned is John Team, or the first few rows, is definitely going to have an advantage today, much like they would have at, say, a street circuit like Phoenix or Monaco. The less cars that you have to overtake equals a higher likelihood that you'll have good results at this circuit. That's generally the what I would say. Being an observer, I've driven this track a few times, mercifully not many. It's just my opinion, but in any case, let's take a look at the drivers' points going into this race. Ray Radal leads the drivers' table by 16 points. His Williams Renault has been certainly the car to beat lately, but the slow twisting nature of this circuit could possibly change things up a bit, I think. Having a well-handling car for the 77 laps that we're going to run is of paramount importance, and this could give some drivers who are down on top in speed with their cars a chance to shine. I will say, though, that having a good amount of grunt going out of the corners and getting the car accelerated up to speed is definitely important, and certainly cars with V12s and V10s will have some advantage there. But top-end speed is not going to be the biggest determining factor here for sure. There's another interesting thing here to look at. Well, let me go through the points table, sorry. Ray Radal is on top with 56 points. Anders Nilsson is in second with 40. Cezariusz Lipinski is in third with 17 points. And then we have a tie for fourth between Giovanni Centorami and Richard Coxon, 16 points apiece. In the constructors' standings, Cannon Williams' team is on top with 60 points. Team 7-Up Jordan is in second with 46. Braun Tiro Honda is in third with 22. Scuderia Italia is in fourth with 21. And Minardi team is in fifth with 18. What I was going to point out, but I wanted to go to the constructors list first, or table first, is the fact that there is one more interesting wrinkle in this race. and that is that there is a substantial upgrade for the McLaren MP46. They have a new Honda V12 engine, which probably can account for some of what gave Jonatan the pole. Obviously, he drove the car, but he had an updated V12 engine to use that has reduced weight, improved fuel efficiency, and a higher rev limit. And Jules Bouchard has this engine as well, and he is starting in 4th place. So, while Ray Vidal is going to be looking for a chance to get his 4th victory and extend his points lead, it should be noted that it's not going to be a cakewalk, at least not on paper, because the McLaren has now got a new power plant, more power, well, maybe not more power, but a higher rev limit, and that will definitely increase their competitive nature. So we'll see where that leads us in this race. Hopefully it'll be more competitive at the front for our competitors and also for our viewers to watch on YouTube. So while we're talking about the series, here are some important dates coming up. We're reaching the August break. Those of you who aren't familiar, ISO, we shut down for August because most people are on vacations, including the admin team. I'm going to have family coming in from out of town, so, it's good to have that time on Sundays and throughout the week to, for our personal lives. So we take the August month off, and here you see what's coming up for the remainder of the F1 schedule. We have the Belgian Grand Prix on September 15th, the British Grand Prix on the 29th of September, September 15th for the Belgian Grand Prix, September 29th for the British Grand Prix. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza, a favorite of a lot of people, is on October 13th. The Portuguese Grand Prix is on October 27th. The Gran Premio d'España is on the 10th of November. The Fuji Television Japanese Grand Prix is on November 24th. And the final race of this series will be the Australian Grand Prix at Adelaide on the 8th of December. That's the remaining races for this series. So why don't we go out now on the track and see if we can catch somebody going around, and we will we'll have a look at this circuit. There is the series leader, Ray Vidal, and let's see if he's going to be completing a lap in a second here, and then we'll have a chance to go around and see what this circuit is like. Again, as I pointed out, this is a circuit that, he's almost done with his lap here. Oh, he ran off just a slight bit there. This is a circuit that just has incessant turns that just don't end. So here we are on board with Ray Vidal, and it looks like he's going to go for one more lap here. So here we go. This is the final turn here that leads onto the main straight. You see the grid markings there. He accelerates now up into 6th gear. This is the fastest part of the circuit by far. Heading downhill now into turn number 1. This is the best overtaking area, and you'll notice this is all going downhill under a bridge here. He accelerates to 4th gear, now back to the left. Downshifting to 3rd. This is another possible opportunity to overtake if you manage to get by on or get alongside on the outside going into turn 1. You might be able to hold it and then have the right line going into turn 2. This is the other fast part of the circuit, but now we go into the section that's just one short straight and turn after another, and handling is going to be at a premium here. Not only handling, but taking care of your tires so that they don't go off too quickly. Pushing your tires too hard here definitely could cause you to have a slow lap or two while you wait for them to cool down. So definitely something that everyone's going to have to do is manage their tires. As you can see how the turns just seem to not end. It's not all that different from that section. Well, there's more straights in between. It's not like Mexico necessarily. But here, that last little awkward turn leading into a left-hander that heads uphill. This is the second to last turn. And now the semicircle, right-hand bend that you've got to get absolutely right to get best terminal velocity on the straight, and that is one lap of the Hungaroring in the hands of Ray Vidal, our series leader. There he is from the outside now. Let's take a look at it. You see how the track goes downhill there, and here comes Ray into turn number 3, I believe, is what they like. I'm used to a semicircular turn being called turns 1 and 2 because I drive a lot of ovals, but this is a long bit. You can see off to the left there. There's a part of the circuit that goes in a little bit of a loop, and that was present when the track opened in 1986, I believe. And since then, they took that out to give another section where they could pick up a lot of speed and possibly overtake, because they realized it was just slowing them down and not creating a good competitive situation, I'm sure. So that's why I'm guessing they took that out and just left a straight there. In any case, you can see there's really no place on this circuit to rest. You have to always be considering the next corner coming up, and if you're one of the better drivers in this series, you're thinking of a corner ahead of where you are. So here comes Ray again towards the last turn on the circuit. And heads uphill again. There's the pit entrance off to his right. But I don't think Ray's going to let the situation of him not being on pole bother him. If he gets away cleanly and has a better start than John Team, I'm sure that he could potentially lead into the first corner. But the fact that the two of them are only separated by 0.63 seconds is really remarkable and shows you how competitive the top of the field is here. So, be really interesting to see who gets the advantage on the start and who is leading at the end of lap 1. There are no DNQs for this race, thankfully, because we have 25 cars qualified. That was the full amount that took part in qualifying, so 26 is the maximum allowable, so nobody's going to be on the sidelines, which is nice. It's never fun to show up and do your best to qualify and then find out you're 27th or higher on the list, and that's it. Or 27th and lower, I mean. So it's worth mentioning, with that new McLaren V12, it could definitely help out both John Team and Jules Bouchard in out-dragging people on the main straight and then accelerating quickly out of tight corners. We'll see whether that's the case or not. Sometimes I'm proved wrong. A lot of times I'm proved wrong and stuff like this, so we'll see what happens. Coxon's notes going into this race. Tire wear should be medium. Brake wear low to medium, and we should expect 1 to 2 pit stops during this race to change tires. In addition to the new McLaren V12 from Honda, Modena Lamborghini has revised their radiator configuration. How that's going to help them, I don't know. Oh, here's interesting. This is Ray here apparently doing a test start. There he goes. He's practicing getting away. No wheel spin. Well, a little tiny bit of wheel spin there, but very good contact with the road. He didn't expend a lot of energy in putting up white smoke, so that bodes well for him. He's going to want to put as much power to the road as he possibly can as he starts off. Whoops. There's Dario Epa slightly off the track. He is actually driving in place of Luciano Rocha today in a guest drive. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. He qualified 10th, which is very good. And Dario is a very quick driver. He's especially quick in the BTCC 1996 series, driving for the Mint Motorsport team. He's a thorn in my side in that series because he's very, very quick. So, anyway, let's take a look at some other things here while we have the time. Let's see what the... we got 2 minutes until the start of the race, so we better take care of this other stuff real quickly here. Coming up next week at ISO, and no surprise to anybody, I'm really excited about this. We're doing one more race in the Lucas Friedrich Trophy with the 1974 USAC Series. It's the Tony Bettenhausen 200 from Wisconsin State Fair Park. This will be round 4 of the LVT series this year. Sunday, July 28th, green flag at 2000 CEST. I don't know if it's going to be broadcast yet. We'll see if Jonatan has the time and the opportunity to do that if he wants to. But that's at least when the race is going to happen. Those of you who love driving short ovals, this is your chance to do that. There's about 17 cars signed up so far, or taken so far, and lots of good names on the grid. Dana Schur among them, real oval experts. So we look forward to seeing you there. Trivia question for you. As we get ready for this race, which constructor has won the Hungarian Grand Prix the most times with 11 wins? Is it A, McLaren, B, Williams, or C, Ferrari? We'll have the answer for you later on in the broadcast. All right, so 44 seconds to go. cars are finishing up here. The warm-up time is really critical for these cars because they behave so much differently with a full fuel load, and you're not going to be using qualifying tires. You're using tires that are compounded specifically for the race. So getting used to that is also important, and drivers are using their time to do that. Extremely critical, because it's going to change braking distances. It's going to change the amount of grip you're going to have in the corner. You have to adjust your driving technique accordingly if you want to do well. All right, so at any time now, we'll be going to the grid. And when that happens, we will go through the starting grid for you in totality, and we'll see what happens here in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Very exciting. Interesting. It appears that they have restarted the warm-up. And if that is the case, that would mean that we might have had someone drop out of the actual... Let me have a look here and see. Yes, we're in warm-up again. So this is a situation where we're going to have to wait and see if somebody comes back. Because evidently somebody left the game. And we want them to... it's Cesarius has left. I believe he had to install a driver. So we will see what happens. It's a good time for me to play my Please Stand By sound, which I will do now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, Hlavich had a crash to desktop. So... This is something that happens every now and then. You run into situations where people have a crash or two or something, and they have to restart their machines, or restart the application, one or the other. But drivers are using the opportunity. We're going to go back on the track in a second here. Drivers are using the opportunity to go back on the track and warm up a little bit more. Why wouldn't you? Good idea. They're all at the end of the pit lane waiting for the green light. There it goes. So once we have everybody back in the server, I'm sure that Juha will advance to the start. So I mentioned also that this is going to be this is the last F1 race we're going to have before we go on our August break. Indeed, interesting. Are we going to... hang on a second here. Oh, we are advancing now to... that was strange. Everybody suddenly was on grid. But we're now going to the... formation lap, and everybody is going to be on the grid in a second here. I guess we got everybody we needed. So once the cars are let go on their sighting or reconnaissance lap, we will be giving you the starting order. John Team waiting for the longest time he can before he finally comes on. He wants to make sure that that Honda doesn't overheat on the grid, which is going to be another problem that he's going to... As the pole sitter, it's his job to pace the entire field around to the grid in a satisfactory fashion, meaning he doesn't leave people sitting on the grid too long with their engines overheating. All right, so here we are. And away we go on the reconnaissance lap. On the pole, John Team, McLaren Honda MP46. Second, Ray Riddall, series leader in his Williams Renault. Third, Grant Riddall, Delara Judd, D191. Fourth, Jules Bouchard, winner at France, McLaren Honda MP46. Fifth, Anders Nilsson, Jordan Ford, J191. Sixth, Giovanni Centorami, Delara Judd, D191. Seventh, Tim Hilla, Minardi Ferrari, M191. Oops, careful on those curbs there, Tim. In eighth, we have Ruben Fernandez, Leighton House Ilmore. Ninth is Schlapinski, and he's starting from the pit lane. Well, that's unfortunate. All that hard work in qualifying comes to zero. He's going to have to start 25th and last. 10th, Dario Apa in a guest drive with Ferrari. 11th, Juha Boss, Benetton Ford. 12th, Richard Wilkes, Tyrrell Honda. 13th, Nicholas Kirsten in the Jordan Ford. 14th, David Saber in the other Ferrari. Surprising to see him down that far. 15th, Rob DeVries in the other Leighton House Fillmore. 16th, Brian Janik, Lotus Judge. 17th, Oscar Team in a guest drive at Tyrrell Honda, I believe. 18th, Salvatore Sirignano, Fonmetal Ford. 19th, Mark Whitman, AGS Ford. 20th, Mikael Drexler in the other Williams Renault. 21st, Dante Barbera, Brabham Yamaha. 22nd, Peter Hlavich, Footwork Hart. 23rd, Dave Miller in a Ligier Lamborghini. 24th, also in the garage, not starting. I don't know what this is about. Johnny Ace is in the Kalani Ford. And then 25th qualifier is Nick Holliday in the Modena Lamborghini 291. And we have a late addition here, 26th, and that's Bruno Chacon in the Benetton Ford. So he did not apparently set a time, so he's starting dead last. Well, he actually won't be dead last because there's two cars in the pit lane. By the time he clears turn 1, he's going to be in 24th. So now John Team is getting to the grid slot here for P1. As we switch to the sidetrack view, you can see everybody pulling in here, and hopefully we'll get this this race off to a good start here without too much trouble. You don't want people to be sitting too long. When you see John Team's name flicker, that means we're under starters orders now, so stand by for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And the race is underway. Look at the getaway by Ray Riddall. There's slow getaway by John Team. He's falling backwards, and Ray Riddall takes the lead. Going down into turn number 1. It's Ray Riddall leading. Bouchard is in second, making sure everybody gets through turn 1. Oh no, John Team has lost both his front and rear wing. That's a disastrous situation. Ray Riddall, though, is in the lead. Let's take a replay here of what happened to John Team. Look at that. He actually, before he even got to the first turn, there you can see his car right there. He ran into several cars, lost his front and rear wing, and also that is a Brabham, it appears, that's also out of the race. Oh my goodness. So real drama on the start here, but Ray Riddall did exactly what he wanted to. He's in the lead. That's disastrous for John Team. He had such a good qualifying situation, and now he's going to be, and I mean, at best, he's going to have to go back to the pits and get his car repaired. It looked like he managed to get through that turn with both of wheels on both sides attached. Everyone coming through here. It looks as if the rest of the field is in good trim, but we at least have one car out of the race at this point. And that is, John Team is definitely out of the race. And also, there was Dario Apa with missing a front wing, so we have several cars who had contact here. My goodness. But here comes our leader, Ray Riddall, across the line to take lap number 1 in the lead. Zooming in here, and you can see the other cars coming through. And you can see how this is very downhill heading into turn number 1. So we have one DNF and at least one other car in the pits. I would think that it's going to be Apa because of his wing, but also perhaps a Brabham. We'll keep an eye on the pit lane for you. In any case, here comes Ray, and he had the perfect start. He didn't have any, he had very minimal wheel spin, and he got off the line really well. So those practice starts he was doing were really good. He's definitely in control right now. And as he's coming through this series of turns, we look back, there's a lot of people kind of clustered together behind him. There's Jules Bouchard in second. In third is Grant Riddall. Fourth, Giovanni Centorami. Fifth, Anders Nilsson. Sixth, Tim Hillis. Seventh, Juha Boss. Eighth is Richard Wilkes. Ninth is David Saber. David Saber made an incredible start, up from 14th. He's now ninth. Obviously, he's going to be very happy with that. And then 10th is Mark Whitman. That's interesting. Look at Mark Whitman here. He's actually challenging. We'll look at him on board here. He's challenging for 9th place in the AGS. Now, that's pretty improbable. I said that some people might have a chance here to do well despite the fact that their car isn't very fast. If he gears it right, he should have good grunt coming off the corners in this AGS Ford. Heading into the first turn once again. He's backed off a little bit since then. Blavich in 16th. 15th is Drexler. Let's go back to the front here, see what's going on. It appears that Jules is having to defend himself quite briskly from any advance from Grant Riddall here, so let's stick with these two for a second. That really is too bad for John Team, especially with qualifying first. He just got swallowed up by the field there. If you're not used to starting these standing starts with Formula One cars, it can be difficult. You don't want to damage the engine on the start, but at the same time, you want to have a clean getaway. So those two are generally in what's the word I'm looking for? They're diametrically opposed, so it can be hard to get a good start. But Bouchard's doing an excellent job keeping Grant at bay here. Heading up the hill now to the final turn. There's Jules. You can see Grant is looking for an opportunity to poke his nose in there, but he's just not quite. Oh, he almost ran into the back of Bouchard there, but he has to be very careful. He doesn't want. Oh, we have multiple DNFs now, and these are definitely, some of them are from lap 1 for sure. Dante Barbera was the Brabham that was we saw that was missing parts. Schlapinski also out of the race, and so is John Team. Well, we know that. And Sirignano is out of the race, so that's that could be related to the first lap incident. We don't know. But look at Grant. He is all over the back of Bouchard looking for a way to get by. And Jules is going to make it as difficult as he can for him because that V12 has got serious grunt coming out of the corners. And Grant Riddall, I believe, is driving a Judd V10, which is an okay engine, but definitely not going to have the grunt out of the corners like the McLaren does with its Honda V12. So here we go. We're completing lap number 4 now as they hit the corner at the final corner. Now watch this. Grant is going to try to get a very, very good exit off at the turn so that he can place himself properly. He has a decent exit, but look at the McLaren there pull away. That's the Honda power plant right there making the difference for Jules and defending his second place. And that's what's going to make it very difficult for Grant to get by. Here he seems to pull up a little bit. Oops, Jules touches the dirt there. But anyway, so we have 5 retirements right out of the gate. And this is a tough circuit. I mean, starting here and trying to find room it's not an especially wide circuit either. So that's another reason why it shouldn't be too surprising that we have issues. The other Dallara in the hands of Centorami is in 4th, and he's being followed by Nilsson. And then we have Tim Hilla in 6th. This is a rare situation where the Minardi hopes are now resting with Tim Hilla because Schlapinski is out of the race. Schlapinski has not had the best of luck in this series. I think he also was out early in another race due to a disco. So I'm sure he's not too happy with the start of this race. But in any case, this race between he's getting close here. He's actually, it looks like he's faster than Jules on the backside of the course. But then, of course, when they get up to the main straight, you'll see what happens here. They come in this corner here, the last corner, and Grant's trying to get the best purchase coming out of this corner. But watch, as soon as they get on the main straight, there goes the McLaren pulling away. That V12, 2 extra cylinders, makes the difference. Into turn 1, going downhill here. So Grant seems to be faster than Jules on the backside of the course where it's all the twists and turns. He might have the car set up a little bit better for the... he's been with this car longer than Jules has been with his McLaren, but in any case, it seems that Grant's able to hang on a lot better through here. Yeah, you can see how he closes down on the McLaren. And meanwhile, Ray Riddall is streaking away. He's got a 2-second lead, 2.5-second lead now, but it's going to keep increasing. And I don't think this is a situation where Jules is holding up Grant, but definitely Grant is going to be anxious to get around Jules because the longer he stays back there, the further away in theory he will be from the leader, Ray Riddall. Heading into the final turn here. Getting purchase off of these turns is so critical. If you don't, you can't have actually, it looks like Grant may be dropping back over here to get kind of a run, but there you go with Jules accelerating away. So Grant is, the best he can do is hold station behind Jules here and see if he can close up later on. Going back here, here's Nilsson in 5th, and he's following Giovanni Centorami. This is more of a straight-up fight here because the Ford HP engine that Anders Nilsson is running is a very fast car, 700 horsepower in that engine. So it's more of a straight-up fight here between him and Centorami. So I would be surprised to see this cool off anytime soon. I think Anders Nilsson definitely has a chance here to advance his position. But again, you know, it's throughout the rest of this track, except for the first turn and maybe the second turn, this is what you're faced with. Constant turns and short straights. You can't even get the thing up to full song before you start to turn. So if cars could complain, I think they would say that this place cramps their style. Fortunately, the cars can't complain. Heading into the final turn here. Actually, that's interesting. Anders, all the cars do have this, but Anders has a nice red light on the left there that tells him when it's time to shift. It comes on just before he gets to the red line. So if you just have that in your peripheral vision, look at that. He's actually, he manages to close down the gap as they come into the first turn. And Centorami streaks away after there. Yeah, he's got good closing distance there when he's going into these short turns, or short, sharp turns. This is the other place where they get a lot of speed. And he's closing a bit there, so we'll see if he's able to advance his position during the race. But the lead is held right now by Ray Riddall. Bouchard is in 2nd. Grant Riddall is in 3rd. Centorami 4th. Nilsson 5th. Tim Hill is 6th. Juha Boss 7th. Richard Wilson 8th. David Saber, with a great start in 14th place, is in 9th. And Weber, in a very surprising performance, or sorry, not Weber, Whitman is in 10th place. Let's take a look back here, see if we can find any other interesting battles. Here is Brian Janik, the Detroit Demon, in his Lotus, and he's being followed by Oscar Team. The Lotus, Brian's been able to drag some pretty good performances out of this car during the year. He also worked on the three-dimensional aspect of this car. He worked on the model of it to enhance it for this series. Brian's good with digital tools. And looks like he's holding his own here for 12th versus Team, but that's a good position to be at the start of the race considering the car from Brian. I wouldn't be surprised if he can hang on to where he is. He may be looking at a points finish later on. You never know. Here's Rob DeVries in 14th in the Leighton House, 15th. Look at this. Drexler and Hlavic having an excellent battle here for 15th place. Drexler in the, a little bit of contact there. A little love tap from Drexler there. But this is definitely a situation where Hlavic is outmatched by the acceleration of the Williams as Drexler pulls alongside. And is Hlavic going to... No, Hlavic has to give it up. I thought he might be able to defend into the corner well there, but he could not. It's a situation where the horsepower of the Williams just outdid the Ford engine. This car used to have a Porsche engine, but now it is a Hart engine. That's an interesting steering wheel arrangement there so that Peter can see the rev counter, at least part of the way, in that yoke wheel. Uh-oh, we've got a, it appears a problem here. Oh, that's, it looks like one of the, looks like Rob DeVries had a bit of an off there. Let's look at a replay, see what happened here. Yes, he spun briefly, but he was able to keep the car running and gets back, so no harm, no foul. He didn't lose any positions. So good recovery there by Rob DeVries. Oh, Janik has been passed by Whitman, it appears. Let's look at a replay here. Well, it happened a little bit ago, so... Or perhaps Whitman was ahead of him. Actually, Whitman might have made a mistake here. Yes, Whitman was ahead of him all along, so... All right, so now we're going to see... And there you go. Janik is by. Let's have a look at the replay of how this happened. Did it happen on the long straight? Yes, it did. He drafts up behind Whitman. Takes him on the outside, actually. Whitman fighting back a little bit, but there Janik now is on the preferred line going into the second turn. There he is. There's a rear wing that's missing from it. Looks like a Minardi there. So, I don't know. Things might have gone from bad to worse for the Minardi team. So Janik up to 11th place. Kirsten in 10th. Let's go forward here, see what's happening here. Nilsson's getting very close to Giovanni. He might have a chance here to try something. Well, it looks about the same as it was before. He closes in on Centorami under braking quite well, but he's not able to do much with it. So, interesting. Heading into turn number 2. And look at this. Grant is still chomping at the back of, despite the fact that he's giving up 2 cylinders to the car in front, he is still right there with Jules. He's not giving him any rest at all. New V12 engine notwithstanding. So, if you look just ahead here, you can see the leader, Ray Riddall. And he's just put a lap on Johnny Aces. So, that's the other thing that's going to be tough here, is trying to make room for cars that are lapping you. Because it's a very narrow circuit. There's not a lot of room. And anybody who's being lapped, you'll have to be, okay, well, Johnny Aces right there did the right thing. He slowed up on the inside and gave room for a bunch of cars to come through. That's a very gentlemanly way to handle it. And, of course, Johnny Aces is a gentleman, so we would expect nothing less from him. But look at how close Grant is now. He drops back a little bit here. But Bouchard, once again, has the power of that Honda engine, and he's just pulling away. That thing howls like a banshee. Going into turn 1 again here. So it looks like if Grant is going to get by Jules, it's going to be somewhere else besides turn 1. But, again, that's the best place to go. Drivers that have had bad fortune as a result of the opening lap and other situations. APA is now 3 laps down. Not the start that he wanted with his Ferrari one-off drive. And Åcerclinth, as we just saw, is now 1 lap down. Everybody else is on the leader lap. So Grant dropping back a little bit here from Bouchard. It's interesting that Ray is not getting away from these two. Here's another car they're going to have to lap. This is Nick Holliday driving the Modena Lamborghini, a car that looks really good but is not particularly quick. Holliday does the right thing. He didn't have to go in the grass there, but he makes room for the leaders coming through. Good job. So here's Grant again, looking for any room, looking for any daylight, and it's a tall order here, what he's trying to do with the deficit in the engine department. You saw his car twitch there. He was desperate to get on the power as quickly as he possibly could. And here they come down the straight again. Cooled off a bit with Nilsson and Centorami there. Tim Hillett in 6th, Boston 7th, and you see there Holliday making room for everybody. Very sporting of him to do that. The main straight is easily the best place to do that. Here is Wilkes in 8th place in his Tyrrell. Again, we do not have Richard Coxon present. I believe his car is being driven by Oscar Team this weekend. But here comes Wilkes to lap Johnny Aces. Won't be that difficult. He's going up the inside there. Saber is 9th, and that's a good spot. He's probably going to have a chance at some points here, but 10th, Kirsten We'll see if there's anything that develops there. And then Brian Janik solidly in 11th. Team. Actually, Whitman has dropped now to 13th, actually. He got passed by Oscar Team as well, so Whitman falling backwards here after a pretty good start. Hopefully he can gain some of those places back when the pit stops come along, because that's, the old saying goes, if you can't beat people on the track, then the next best thing to do is to beat them in the pit lane. And that has a lot to do with getting in and out as quickly as possible and having a short pit stop as you can. Oh my goodness! Mark Whitman runs across the grass there. He had a little bit of a problem negotiating that turn, but he didn't gain anything, so I don't think the stewards will have anything to say about that. Drexler in 14th, working his way up. He started much further back down the field. He's advanced 6 places, so he's using the power of that Williams and probably the attrition of others to advance up the standings. Rob DeVries 15th, Flavich in 16th, Bruno Chacon 17th. 18th is Dave Miller in the Ligier Lamborghini, which I can confirm is a very, very slow car. Does not handle very well, but we'll see what he can do with this. He drove a Lamborghini-powered Modena in the last race, the German Grand Prix, so we'll see what he can do with the same engine but in a different car. He's currently 18th, having advanced 5 places, so good for him. Johnny Ace is 19th, and Nick Holliday, I believe, is the last car running in 20. No, I'm wrong. He's in 20th, and then 21st is Dario Apa. Dario Apa is the last car running after the DNFs that we've had so far. And here's Grant Riddall, still back there, still trying to hang with. He's hanging with them okay, but at this point, I think Grant is basically relegated to waiting for a mistake. And Jules does not make many mistakes, so he may have a long wait. Here is our leader, Ray Riddall, who is 2.3 seconds ahead of Jules. So he is not sprinting away from Jules at all, which is very interesting. So that new power plant in the MP46 definitely seems to be helping on this circuit. But you can see in these twisty sections how Grant is right with him. Looking back over the shoulder here of Bouchard, you can see Grant is right there. Seems to have the measure on Bouchard in the back section here, where it's all these twists and short straights. Bouchard pulls out a little bit of room on him there, but certainly the turns are where Grant is better, not the places where you accelerate hard on straights. Once we see him get onto the straight here, we'll see probably Bouchard pull away a little bit on the straight. Yep. Just a tiny bit. Well, actually, Grant's hanging with him here. Interesting. And here's Juha. He has actually caught Tim Hilla now, so this is a battle for 7th place. Looking from the cockpit now of Juha. And this is the car that's in front of him is running last year's Ferrari engine, the Minardi, but don't think that's going to be a problem necessarily for Juha, because as I mentioned before, his Ford HB V8, that will produce 700 plus horsepower. It's one of the better engines in the mod. So, just because he's giving up 4 cylinders to Hilla, I wouldn't count him out. I mean, handling is so important here, and Juha knows how to set up a car. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they get on the main straight at the end of this lap. Oh my goodness, Hilla goes off the track and gives the position to Juha. That's interesting. I wonder why that happened. Replay. Comes into the corner. Hilla does, and let's see, it's not this one, it's the next one. Oh, he got one of his tires on the grass there, and that basically screwed up his, that made him run wide. it actually happened prior to the turn. Let's go back and look. Yeah, right there, leading into the corner. You see on the left-hand side of the car, he clips the grass, and that puts him on the outside, and Boss just sails right through. Taking advantage of other people's problems is sometimes the way you advance, and it's especially the way you advance on this circuit. No question about it. So that puts Juha into the points in 6th place with the Benetton Ford. Took advantage of an opportunity there. Very good driving from Juha. Heads up driving, as we would say. There's a yellow flag in this corner here. Not sure why that is. I don't see any cars off the track. Oh, no. It appears that Dave Miller has lost his front wing, so he's going to be due in the pits. You obviously can't drive this track without a front wing because the car will push like mad. That's too bad. It's going to cost him a great deal of time. That might have been what was giving us the yellow flag earlier. Yeah, I think that was the wing. We just saw it back there. Goodness. Another yellow flag here. This might be just a situation where cars are going into the pits. But there it goes. You can see him there. There goes Dave. He's going into the pits to have that rear wing, front wing looked at and replaced. And that's going to take some time to repair. It's not a simple fix. Yeah, Grant's taking it off the boil here, and he's giving himself a little bit of a rest. But you see that cars are now starting to encounter more tail enders, and that's going to be interesting to see how that affects the race. There may be instances where people are trying to get out of the way, but they just can't. They're a solid car. Here's Bouchard that was Chacon letting Bouchard by, and any kind of hesitation or any kind of balking that occurs unwittingly could cause a change in position. Not this time, though. Oh no! Nicholas Kirsten has hit the wall and lost his front wing. So here's another one who's going to come into the pits, and hopefully there isn't any suspension damage there. Let's look at a replay of this. What happened here? Heading through the corner. He hits the curb, and it sends him into the Armco on the opposite side of the track. That's really unfortunate. These are pretty tall curbs here. You don't want to be flirting with them too much. And there we saw the problem that occurs. And here he comes into the pits now to get that front wing replaced. Good grief. So we're seeing the problems that can manifest here at the Hungaroring. If you touch the curbs, it can definitely be a problem. And now Kirsten is falling down the standings. That's really unfortunate because he's a fast driver in a good car, and he's going to be chalking this up probably as a one that got away. Whitman has fallen to 14th now, actually. Rob DeVries has gotten by him. He's trying to get by Johnny Aces here, which is a lapping situation. Whitman, it's interesting. Even now, he's up 5 places. He was up even more earlier, but he's been steadily dropping through the field. So, looks like his best friend is going to be attrition later on. We'll see what happens. Yeah, the battle that we had between Grant Riddall and Jules Bouchard has definitely gone off the boil. He's staying in proximity to him, but not like he was before. So this is a 77-lap race. We're on lap 20 right now. I would think we'd see pit stops somewhere between laps 30 and 40, I would think, because as we've mentioned before, as the fuel load goes down, the next set of tires that you put on will probably be able to last longer or have better grip for longer because of the decreased fuel load. So you may see some people come in earlier than midway through the race. We'll see what happens. Here comes Ray Riddall onto the main straight to complete lap number 20 and start lap number 21. Fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear. Yellow flag at the end of this. I believe that's just for the pit lane. Yeah, there's nobody out of the race, just the pit lane. Third gear for this semicircle, heading downhill into the second turn. There's Dave Miller. He's just emerged from the pits with a new front wing, driving the Ligier Lamborghini. Ray has to hold up a little bit here because there he goes. He's got his place now around Dave Miller. Looks like there's a whole gaggle of cars up here that Ray has to deal with. Hopefully they'll make way for him with no trouble. It's Nick Holliday, so I believe this will be the second time he's been lapped in the race. Actually, he's already 2 laps down, so this will be 3. I don't think Nick had an issue. Okay, now Nick is 2 laps down, actually, so he hasn't had an issue. It's just the nature of the car he's driving. And you can see Dario Apa ahead, and he is 3 laps in arrears, thanks to the problematic start we had. But Ray seems to be doing okay. No problems. Car seems in good trim. Business as usual. And if he can finish first and score his 4th win in this series, it's going to definitely increase his stranglehold on the championship. The other thing that's going to depend how much he gains is where Nilsson finishes, because Nilsson is second in the points, driving for Jordan. And it looks like, oh goodness, it appears that Grant Riddall has lost. Oh, Grant is in the pits. Interesting. He's making a pit stop. That's the first pit stop. And that looks like it was a planned one for tires. So apparently he figured, okay, I need to come in here and change tires because whatever compound he was on, or it was either already gone or he thought he needed something different. But that takes him all the way down to 8th place. That's a very, very early tire stop for Grant. Takes him out of the points, but of course everybody else is going to have to stop in theory. I doubt anybody's planning to do a no stopper in this race. We've seen that done before, but not on a circuit like this one. I highly doubt that's going to happen. So Centorami inherits 3rd place for the moment. 4th is Nilsson. 5th, Juha Boss. 6th now in the points is Tim Hilla. 7th, Richard Wilkes, and then you have 8th now, Grant Riddall. So Grant's got some places to make up, but in theory, he will get a lot of those back when people start pitting for tires. He just happened to pit extra early. So it's interesting. He made a decision, I've got to get off these tires. They're not helping me. So he came in early. It's rare you see that, but he's the guy in the cockpit. He knows what he needs from his car, and if he's not getting it, he decided it's better to make a change now rather than just fall steadily backwards. And look at this now. Bouchard's starting to close a little bit more. The gap is now about 1.1 seconds, so that is less than it was before. Let's ride with Bouchard here. He's definitely closing on our leader. So we mentioned before that Ray is not getting away. He's not streaking away in the Williams-Renault, but here is Bouchard getting closer. Yellow flag in this section. Looks like somebody maybe off the track or have had a problem. That looked like a Ligier Lamborghini to me. That might have been our, that's Dave Miller. Let's see. No, and it wasn't Sirignano either. So my question is who it was Johnny Aces. Jonathan Åcerclinth is out of the race. Let's see if we can get a replay of what happened here, because it happened quickly. I think that was what the yellow flag was. Yes. All right, so it didn't happen too far back. Let's take a look at what happened here. I mean, we're early on in the race, but after a while, it just this track really does wear on you. Let's see what happened here. He's coming around the corner here. Oh, he just actually got wide, got out in the gray, and that was enough to take him off. Oh, that's too bad. That's not a nice way to end this race. And I believe we're now joined by Jonatan in the booth. I'm sorry, Jonatan. That was really unfortunate.
That was an accident waiting to happen. The car didn't really want to do anything today.
What, were you just having pushing issues, as we say in the States, or understeer?
Yeah, just not... Like, certain times it would oversteer, other times it would understeer.
Oh, that's the worst. When you have a car that's oversteering and going between the two, then you don't know what to expect. And that's a difficult situation.
I think as the fuel burnt off, I was expecting it to be more and more oversteery, but became more understeering instead. And ran wide like 2 or 3 turns before I went off. Then I think I just overheated the tires going off, and then as I turned into that, I was just a tiny bit, like I was on my usual turn-in, but because of the tires overheating, they didn't grip enough, and as you say, in the grey, and
yeah, it looked like once you got out of the gray, you couldn't do much. Your car just sailed off. So, well, I'm sorry to see that. That's, I know how frustrating of a track this is to drive. It's.
No, I love this track.
Oh, you actually love this track?
Yeah. It's just the car didn't agree with me.
Well, while we have you here, why don't you tell us what you find to be redeeming values of this track? Because most people would say that this track is really frustrating to drive. What do you like about this track? I'm curious.
I'd say it's because the track is, while you need a lot of downforce to get the car to go. That's not downside of the Colonial, obviously. It's very much a driver's track. You can really do a lot with how do you drive the track.
Okay.
Like in turn 1, while you have grey out on the wide, you can have 3 or 4 different lines going through there.
All right. Depending
on what suits your driving style, what suits the car, you have 2 or 3 different lines. Turn 2, technically 2 lines, as I see Nick also has retired now, unfortunately.
Oh shoot.
And I just really like the backside of the course after the chicane. The chicane is a bit of a oopsie on the track, but other than that, I really like the back end too, because it's very much committed, but I would say calculated committed, where you really need to know what is the limit of the car at this point in this lap, in terms of fuel, in terms of tires, in terms of ahead and behind you. It's just very much a driver's track. How much can you get out of the car? As I see another 2 drivers out, I know one driver, Oscar Tim, and the Tyrrell has also just retired.
That's too bad, because he was looking pretty good in the Tyrrell. Ray is, the interesting part right here is that Ray is not streaking away from Jules Bouchard. Could be that engine upgrade helping Jules, but Ray is not streaking away too much. The gap was down to like about 1 second earlier. Now it's ballooned to about 2 seconds. But Jules is doing what he can to keep the leader in sight. Well, we'll let you go because, tough luck for you, and I'm sure you got other things you want to do today. But thanks for stopping and checking in. We appreciate it.
No, I can help you out. Oscar Tim had an engine failure.
Ah, okay.
I looked at things. Engine gave up going into the on the modern track would be the 3rd to last turn.
Well, that's something that everybody has to pay close attention to, is you have to shift. A lot of these cars, I think all of them really have a light that comes on that tells you when it's time to shift. In some cars it's a red light, in other cars it's a green light, but it comes on just before you get to the point where it's redlining. So that's your indication now it's time to shift. And pretty much everybody has that. So if you're not paying attention to that, that can be a problem. You can easily tax the engine and it'll end early for you. So.
And I also noticed it is quite warm, as we have a yellow up in early part of sector 2. Oh, Tim Hiller out.
What? Oh my goodness.
Oh,
let's see what happened here. Oh, I know exactly what happened there. His if you look really closely there, his right front and right rear just got on the grass, and that was enough to send him around and into the Armco. That's too bad. So that's the other Minardi out of the race. Not a good day for Minardi, which is going to be a problem in their quest for the Constructors' Championship. But that's really too bad. That brings Drexler up to Drexler's 10th. Janik is 9th. Saber 8th now. Saber started a lot further back, and he made a really nice start in his Ferrari. 7th, Grant Riddall. Grant actually pitted a little ways back. He was the first person in to change tires, which was a bit unusual. So they did it on lap 22, which I found pretty strange. Uh-oh! Grant runs off the track, but thankfully keeps the car
on replay.
Yeah, he's... I'm on replay. Sorry. There we go. In any case, Grant pitted early, which was weird, but he must have concluded that the tires he was on were either shot or they weren't doing what he needed, and he changed them earlier. He's going to inherit some of those positions back when people go to pit, but that was his call to make, and he must have figured, no, I need to get off of these tires. They're not helping me. So...
I do believe, I wouldn't put it past Grant that he is trying to do a Schumacher around this place.
Explain, I'm not entirely certain what you mean.
I believe it was 2000, would have been 2001, 2, 3, around those years. Schumacher in the Ferrari was effectively pulled in a little early, and his engineer said, well, we're going to need these kind of lap times from you from here on if we're going to win the race, which equated to around quali lap pace. And he promptly said, I'll give it a whirl, and promptly put in those laps. Did one more stop than everyone else, and still won the race.
All right, here's an interesting battle right here. Nilsson just overtook Santarami for 4th place. So Nilsson is on the charge. Let's take a look at a replay of that. He got alongside him, actually, and this is in a part of the track that I wouldn't expect it. Actually, wait, this is the alternate way that you can get by somebody here. If you're not going to do it on the main straight into turn 1, the other good place to do it is going into turn 2 downhill, and he just dives up the inside. Wow, he really sent it up the inside, took away the inside line from Santarami, and took 4th place. That was... wow, he actually had to hold the line on the outside. There was a bit of contact there, but Nilsson made it up to 3rd place doing that. He just wouldn't say no. He just kept coming. So, and that's important because Nilsson is 2nd in the championship, so he needs to score points. If Ray is going to win this race, Nilsson's got to be at least, up there somewhere on the podium to stay within shouting distance of him on the chart. So Nilsson is definitely aware of the situation, wants to advance as fast as he can. His next target is Jules Bouchard. And Grant didn't have a lot of luck trying to get by Jules earlier. I think it was the Honda V12 that was making the difference on the main straight. But we'll see if Nilsson can reel in Bouchard.
Which may also have been Grant's choice, the fact that he was stuck behind another car and he changed his strategy maybe to go for the 2-stop and try to get clean air and run as fast as he can and hopefully pass cars that were behind him at the time.
Yeah, that's another possibility I hadn't thought of, but we'll see what happens here. But Nilsson very firmly now in 3rd place, and he's actually pulling away from Santarami, so looks like he's in good shape. And we still have Jules running, and Jules' best lap so far is 123.107. Best lap for Ray is 122.830. So Ray is definitely one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car on the track. So we'll see too. I'm really curious to see. Okay, that's interesting. No, Nilsson's a little slower in terms of his best lap time compared to Bouchard, but I'd be curious to see what happens as we get closer to the pit window. If he's able to reel in some of that time he has between himself and Bouchard.
That's definitely going to be interesting, and I just checked the lap times because it's interesting to just check for Grant too. It's on new tires. Prior to the tire stop, he did a whole heap of 24s and then high 23s, mid 23s sitting behind Bouchard. After the pit stop, immediate next lap 22.6, and currently his fastest time is a 22.2.
Well, that's definitely faster than the cars in front of him, so that's impressive. So certainly he made the right choice in terms of lap time. We'll see how much of that ground he's able to gain back once people start pitting for their tire stops.
And he's now sitting in behind Wilkes, so let's see what he can do in the V.
Oh yeah, this will be interesting because Wilkes is no slouch, and look at that! Look at how much he closes on him in turn 1 right there. Wow.
I believe you may be on.
Oh, careful.
Still.
Yeah, this is a pretty good battle right here, and I would think that he has the measure of Wilkes just simply because his tires are fresher. He's looking at the inside, but I know Wilkes, he is not going to give up that position easily.
No, for sure. Wilkes is one of those, he knows just the right way to defend, but I think he'll struggle on the main straight here. Grant taking the wide line and trying to get some air on the wing and get a good run off.
Similar power in these two cars, both V10s.
That's
the V10.
Yeah, but I'd say the Honda is just a little bit more powerful.
I would think so.
Ooh, but he's really close here. Maybe.
Oh my goodness! Wilkes just ran off the track there. That's curious. I wonder what caused that. Obviously, he gave up the position. Now it looks like he's in danger of giving up a position to Kirsten. No, actually, no. Kirsten is lapped down. My apologies. But let's look at the replay. What happened there? That's strange.
Looked to me like just a bit too much power with a bit too much steering angle.
Yeah, either too much power or too aggressive an angle combined with the power. Thankfully, he didn't hit anything, and he's able to continue, so I'm sure he's kicking himself for that. But thankfully, he did not hit anything.
Well, that is a trait for a driver that is good to have, that you realize, okay, if I try to hold this any longer, it is going to go real bad. And just capitalize and say, okay, I'll take the smaller loss, deal with it, keep on going, instead of going like you see some drivers do, where they fight it, and then finally, and they're off.
Yep. Well, that puts Grant into the points again in 6th place, and the pit stops haven't happened yet, so we'll see what happens once that occurs. But uncharacteristic error from Wilkes there. You don't see him do that too often. Here's Saber now in 8th place, and if you look behind him, Brian Janik in the Lotus is not too far away. I wonder if he'll be able to advance his position before the pit stops. Brian is having a great race for himself so far. He's up 7 positions from the start in his Lotus. But and Saber's having a good race too. He's up 6 positions. So
I'd say out of these two, I'd reckon Brian is a little bit more happier in his car, though. That Lotus.
He's able to drag great performances out of this car.
For sure. Around here, that chassis should treat him quite well, I think.
Yeah, I would think so too.
You have Bose entering the pits, just at about halfway distance.
Okay, yeah, we're at about halfway. So here's Juha making a tire stop. He's on Pirellis.
And Grant gains another position.
Yeah, it's another position. Juha drops to 6th. Let's see what happens here. He's coming out. He's going to lose another place. No, he's going to retain 6th place. Here comes Wilkes right behind him in 7th. So Juha was able to get that job done with only 1 position costing him. I mean, he's on cold tires now, but those ought to warm up pretty quick around here with all the turns that you have. So, yeah, he's got Wilkes right behind him now. That green car, the Nicholas Kirsten, that car is a lap down, actually. So, good job for Boss. He's able to take the stop without losing much track position. Grant now 5th. So we'll see if there are any other drivers who want to take a pit stop now. Ray streaks through the main straight, and so does Jules. Nilsson also does, so nobody going for the pits right now. Juha's just made his stop. Wilkes hasn't made a stop yet. Saber is in 8th, and yeah, it appears that Janik is closing on him for sure, or at least being able to hang with him really good.
Well, that is the one downside, I'd say, of this wonderful piece of real estate. The overtaking opportunities are a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we said at the top of the show. There is no way, there's no conventional way to get by people. There are no real opportunities that present themselves. You have to create your own, or you have to take advantage of OPP, other people's problems.
Which,
so,
to me, to be honest, is one of the funnier things. We did BTCC last week at Thruxton.
Yes.
That is, for a British track, that is pretty much the same. You have 2 really good passing opportunities, and then you have, if you're crafty or someone has just a little bit of a bubble, you can pass in another 4 or 5 places, which is effectively the rest of the track.
Well, that's most of what we've seen so far, is people getting by because someone makes a mistake. It's like most of the overtakes we've seen so far. But yeah, definitely Brian is right with David here. He might be able to try something here in a lap or two. But yeah, it looks like his Lotus, as you would say, is happier around here than perhaps the 643 Ferrari is. Yeah, he's right there with him. He's getting close. This is the closest he's been, actually, now, as they go to the final turn here. Very impressive. And the front runners are still not pitting, trying to get the maximum out of those tires before they change. I would have expected some people to change before midway. The only person who did, really, was Grant. That was it. Oh, Janik has a bit of a bobble there, but he's all right.
I believe Wilkes has been into the pits here.
Okay. Drexler is in the pits now. He is making his stop from 10th place. He's now down to 11th.
Yeah, Wilkes just came out of the pits on the previous lap. He's running behind Yannick and Saber at the moment.
And I guess he probably didn't lose any spots there. He probably
he lost out to Saber and Yannick. But,
oh, okay. He was ahead of them prior to that stop, I see. Well, all these stops have helped Whitman to get back up to 12th. He's one of the guys who's really had a good race for himself. He started back in 19th, and he is now 12th. He was actually further up the field. He was 10th at one point, but then he started to fall backwards. So he's been doing quite well in the AGS. I don't know if it's the new paint scheme or what, but the car seems to be going quite well. And Hlavic is making good use of the Hart engine in his footwork. He's up 9 places. So, talking about a track that doesn't offer many overtaking opportunities, we've got several drivers here whose stats would seem to indicate otherwise. But I think some of it might have to do with the incident that we had on lap 1 coming down for the first turn. There were several cars that had contact, and I think that's part of the reason why some people are so much further up the standings than they were on the grid, to be fair.
Centuran heading for the pit lane.
Okay.
And I'd say also, for this track in particular, having driven it a few times, going into turn 1 at the start it's very difficult to gauge when to brake for it.
I see.
Because it's also, you get almost like a tunnel vision where you need to keep track of when do the car in front of you brake, but you also do not want to brake too late. But at the same time, you don't want to brake too early either, because you have someone behind you who might brake just a bit too late and slam up the rear view instead. So
here's Centurami emerging right in front of Juha.
Oh, so Juha has made some gains in his pit stop.
Yep.
He was probably hoping to come out just for Centurami to come out just behind him. But,
well, he might have a shot here. He's got warm tires, and Centurami trying to get his bearings after getting out of the pits, but I don't know. Maybe he might have a chance here.
I'd say his best opportunity will be probably into the second to last turn or last turn if he can stick with him through this section.
Yeah, that's the thing the thing that we've been mentioning too for everybody is if you see someone overtake someone successfully at turn 1, that pass really starts all the way back at the last turn. You have to get your car out of the last turn with lots of purchase and get the power down as early as possible in order to be able to make that pass work at the end of the straight. So it takes a lot of skill and a lot of perseverance to get that pass done at times. And look at this, Centurami's pulling away from Juha. So Centurami defends his position and actually streaks away a bit from Juha.
And unfortunately, the Tifosi have one less to cheer for in this race yet. Daria and the second Ferrari just retired with an engine blow up.
Well, he hasn't driven that car before, so he probably wasn't familiar with how hard he could push it. So that's too bad. He didn't have a very good start either. He had lost both front and rear wings, I believe, in the schmozzle that went on the lap number 1. But in any case, yeah, so Dave has to carry the torch for the Tifosi now. We were mentioning that August is our break for both the series and for the admins. Because people usually have a lot of their summer activities in August. I in particular, I have family coming from Japan in August, so I need that time to spend with them. And having a race to run or to broadcast is not advantageous. So I'm grateful for that break. But we'll be back after that with the conclusion of this, or the second half really of this series. And but we have one more race that we're going to do before we do our August break, and you know what that one is, I'm sure.
That would be round 10 of the British Car Championship.
Nope, that's going to come after the break. Our last race before we go on our break, unless I'm missing a BTCC race, is the Tony Bettenhausen 200. And that will be next Sunday. We're doing 200 laps around Wisconsin State Fair Park in the 74 USAC cars. So
that is going to be fun.
Well, it's going to be challenge. It's going to be a challenge. I've done lots of laps in practice already, and I can tell you, the key to running around there well is to have a properly balanced car. Period. That is what it's all about. If you got understeer or oversteer in any quantity, it will make your job that much harder. If you can balance the car well, you'll have a good day, hopefully, as long as nobody spins in front of you. So, but that race is coming up next week. I can't wait because I enjoy the 74 USAC cars, and probably the last time we'll see them this year. So if any of you have an itch for short oval racing, definitely look. There's 17 drivers signed up already, so there's still plenty of cars available. Decent ones, too. So,
well, I say, out on track in the meantime, it's going to be great fun. Ray has pitted, came out behind Grant. Nilsson has pitted behind Ray.
All right, so Ray has made his stop, dropping him to third place. And Grant is already up to second. So here we go. See that he got all that space back simply because he pit earlier, and now he's up into second place. So he couldn't get the job done on the track, so he wanted to do it in the pit lane, and this is the result. He's in second now. Leader is Jules. So the question now becomes: is Jules going to pit soon, and how much time will it take? I'm sure he's doing the best he can to put together a series of quick laps before he comes in. Grant in second. Ray is in third. Nilsson fourth. Fifth, Centorami. And sixth, Juha Boss. And Saber's up to seventh, but I don't think he's been in the pits yet. And I'm fairly...
No, I don't think so.
And I'm fairly certain that he's not going to do one of his no-stoppers on this track. He surprised us before when he did that, but I don't think he's going to be doing it this time. I'm fairly certain of that. So...
Indeed. Yannick pitted though in the Lotus, trying to undercut Saber, I think. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. If we have yellow up here, that is... oh, Drexler ran off the track.
Uh-oh.
Up at the chicane, but has rejoined. Doesn't look like he has any damage in the car, so...
Yeah, he ran straight on, actually. And thankfully, there's a bunch of grass there. That is one of the nice things about some parts of this track, not all, is that the wall is further away from you. But we've seen in other instances that it is actually very close to you if you have anything go wrong. So it varies around the track. Some cases it's far away from you, other cases it's right near you. So...
quite so.
But yeah, he was able to... sorry, go ahead.
Rob de Vries into the pits, putting on B's all round, so the medium tires.
Yeah, I would expect B's would be the tire most people would pick in this race. He has to put up with quite a bit of abuse around these turns. That's Rob de Vries rejoining in 11th place.
Oh, and Nilsson has caught up to Ray.
Yeah, he has, actually.
Giving him a bit of a run here.
See if we can do anything with this.
I reckon this is let's see if I can put him under some pressure, see if he may crack like he did in France.
No.
Because I don't think on outright pace that Nilsson should be able to do anything, but...
You bring up an interesting point, though. I mean, yeah, Ray made an uncharacteristic, unforced error in France, which basically gave the win to Jules Bouchard. But I don't know. Under normal circumstances, Ray is a pretty cool customer. He doesn't really, he doesn't crack under pressure very easily. That was an oddity or anomaly in my view. What happened at France? But in any case, yeah. Nilsson hanging with him really good here. And Bouchard appears to be continuing for another lap, so is... well, Grant's already pitted, so... I mean, you could make the argument, like you said, that he's going to do a two-stopper, but I doubt it. We'll see what happens.
Oh, and Grant, I think, showing there, he's not very happy, like Brian. Ooh! Well, Grant sensed it up the inside there. No. Saying that you should have let me by on the straight, man.
Well, he got by now, and he's set. Yeah, goodness, I don't know. It's one of those deals where, you know, I don't think. I think if you're a car that's getting lapped, it's very difficult to make room for somebody.
Oh, it is. There are few good places, start finish line, going down to turn 2, straight to turn 4. I suppose the straight here that Grant enters now. But yeah, if a lappy catches you in the wrong place, it wasn't nice having to try and find ways to let people by.
We had situations where Nick Holliday was going on the grass just to get out of people's way, which I don't think you necessarily have to do in this track, but man, he really didn't want to get in anyone's way.
No, indeed.
All right, so here we go for another lap, and nobody's pitting, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So Nilsson is hanging right with Ray here.
And they're catching up to a battle for position up here.
Yeah.
So this could be Nilsson's opportunity.
Possibly. Oh, Nilsson runs off the track. Well, that's going to cost him a lot of time. Yeah, Ray should send him a fruit basket for that one. That's basically took that battle off the boil now, and Ray's got a chance to relax a little bit, or if not relax, just focus his eyes forward, as opposed to both backwards and forwards.
Indeed. I think that for Anders was him expecting the downforce to be less than he found it to be, with 2 cars ahead of him, and turned in a little bit earlier than he normally would, I'd say, and it just gripped a bit more and hit the curb.
Well, the gap between Grant and Bouchard is 30 seconds. So it's going to be really, really interesting, because that's about the amount of time you need to come into the pits, slow down, take your pit stop, and then get up to speed and back out again. So it's going to be very, very close, assuming Ray continues at the pace he's at, between Bouchard and Grant when Bouchard finally makes his stop. That's going to be really interesting to see who emerges first into turn number 2. Now it's sub 30 seconds, so I think Ray realizes the situation and is pouring it on here. That Grant is up the road 8 seconds, actually. So it's Grant who's the one who has the opportunity to get in front of Jules. But yeah, that choice to pit earlier for Grant really was the right choice. It's evident in the standings as we're looking at him now. He would not be where he is now in second without that stop. He clearly knew what he was doing.
The one thing he will be possibly a little bit worried about is the tire wear.
Yes.
If he's staying on this set, but he may know that I can make it around these set of laps if I run at this kind of pace, but it's always a gamble.
Well, if you look at the gap now, it's down to 22 seconds, so it dropped a significant, almost 10 seconds is the difference between the previous lap and this lap, so Bouchard's tires must be really going off at this point, so he might want to think about coming in. He might have actually got to the point now where he doesn't have the cushion he needs to keep the lead. It's now 20.7 seconds. So if I were Bouchard, I'd be heading for the pits now to give myself a chance to race with Grant to the end of the race. But man, oh man. Jules continuing in the lead here. The gap's now down to about 20 seconds, well, 20 and a half. It varies as you go around here. Let's see if he actually goes for the pits this time. Nope, he's going to continue. Makes you wonder, as he decided that he's going to go the race with the distance with no stops. I find that hard to believe. But the gap continuing to tumble here. It's now down to sub 19 seconds.
It's very clear, but I think maybe Bouchard has decided that he's going to try and make it on a no-stop, which is incredibly brave.
I don't think that'll work. I don't think he can do it.
He might be banking on the fact that it's really difficult to pass on this track, that his track position will be key.
Possibly.
But while that is going on, we have 2 battles forming as well. We have Centorama and Bose now running nose to tail for 5th and 6th, and Wilkes has given Saber still a bit of a hurry up.
Oh yes, Wilkes is at the back of Saber. Saber and just outside the points.
Yep, and this is one of those, I'd say, the Ferrari surely isn't as quick as the Tyrrell around here, but just the difficulty of finding clean air and making a run, especially on a Ferrari which has that V12 engine. We can just see here pulls off that final turn.
Yes.
Like it had a rocket ship of a motor in the back.
It's that V12.
Yeah. It's one of those when you're running anything other than maybe the Renault V10 or the McLaren V12, it's effectively you sit there and you just see that and you wave saying, "Oh, I'll see you in a bit."
All right. Well, while we're waiting to see what happens with Bouchard, probably a good idea to get the trivia question out of the way before things get too crazy. So the trivia question is, which constructor has won the Hungarian Grand Prix the most times with 11 wins? Is it A, McLaren, B, Williams, or C, Ferrari? Time is up. What do you think?
I'd say simply because they had a really good spell for a while, McLaren.
And you are correct. It's McLaren with 11 wins. Good job.
Thank you. I remember in the late 90s and early 2000s, the McLaren very often was very well suited to the track.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Centorami definitely is starting to have to defend himself here from Boss. Boss is getting much closer. See how it goes there, coming off the final turn. Boss has a little bit of a roll. Is he going to make a try for it here? He goes up the inside. Oh, man, just runs out of room. Just can't do it.
That is one of those old school pictures from this very track. Would have been 85 to 88, somewhere in those years. I think it was Senna and as Boss hits the curb there, survives, and PK, I think, who with one of them on full opposite lock, breaking up the inside into turn 1. May even have been Senna and Mansell, actually.
Well, Juha is actually a lot further back now, and that touch of the curb definitely cost him. He's definitely a lot further back now. But look at Wilkes. He's very close to Sabre now. Right with him. This is a battle for 7th place. And that is the Honda engine that McLaren used last year, this V10. So if Sabre makes any kind of a mistake here, I would expect Wilkes to streak past. We'll see. But he's right with him here. He might have a shot going down the main straight if he can get good placement. Okay, here they go. Out of the last turn, but I think Sabre's got enough purchase. Yep, Sabre's going to be able to defend himself here successfully. Yep, no problem there. And Nilsson is still hanging with Ray Radal. He's not dropping back too far. Grant still in second. And the gap between himself and the leader is down to 17.5 seconds. So it's dropping, not particularly quickly, but it's dropping for sure. So, man, if Grant is able to catch and pass Bouchard before this race is over, that's going to be that really is validation for his pit strategy that at the time seemed very unorthodox. But man, you can't argue with the numbers and the chart. If he's in the lead by the end of the race, it worked.
Indeed. And it's interesting to note as well, it feels like we've been going on for a long time. We sort of have, but there's still 25 laps left in this race.
Yeah,
it's roughly at this point that the drivers will be looking at that and start to groan in terms of, because while you have some straights to rest, it is a lot of work around this place.
It is a lot of work. I mean, this is probably the hardest track. Well, obviously, I mean, Monaco is a lot of work. but I would say of like natural terrain road circuits, this is definitely the most difficult one in terms of effort on the calendar. If you're just talking about natural terrain circuits, I would think this is one of the most difficult. This is interesting. Grant threads between Whitman and Chacon, who I believe are having a battle of their own, but he's able to get by there without... He just kind of threaded his way between the two of them. Worked out all right, but that's always... I mean, we haven't seen any situations where people are absorbed in a battle of their own and they don't know that here come the leaders. We haven't seen any of that, which is good. And the other thing I was concerned about is that we would see accidents in this race caused by people getting frustrated and just losing patience. We haven't seen that either. So that's pleasant to see. We don't want a race that has hargy-bargy elbows out situations, you know what I mean? If we can avoid it.
Sure. Well, it's definitely a mentality thing. If you come into the race with the right mentality, you can deal with being stuck behind a driver for a while. I'd say it might become an issue at some point if, say, you're... what kind of example should we take?
Well, next Sunday, for example, at Milwaukee,
yeah,
that's a situation where you could get very frustrated behind somebody, lap after lap after lap after lap, if you just cannot get on the inside. If they protect that inside and don't drift up the track, they can keep you at bay for a long time, and that could definitely wear on someone's patience after a while, to the point where you start to take risks that you wouldn't normally take.
For sure.
Because those laps at Milwaukee just reel away very quickly. Before you know it, you're getting to the end of the race. It sneaks up on you. Suddenly you go, whoa, there's only 20 laps to go. Shoot. But Bouchard's continuing here, and I think you may be right. I think at this point, it's like, why would you go into pits? I think he's decided he's just going to run the race without a stop. It may have been a decision he made impromptu in the cockpit. It may not even have been his plan. But the gap keeps decreasing. It's down to 14 seconds. So he's basically banking on his ability to defend himself to the flag. That's it. So, and looking just ahead of him here is the battle between Sabre and Wilkes. And Wilkes is giving some ground for Bouchard. You see Sabre's just ahead of him too, but Bouchard's pretty much committed at this point. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in pitting now.
It's way too late.
It's way too late to do it now, so he's just basically got to hold on until the end here. And that gap is there. You see, you can see in the background there, Grant coming into view, and it's
Ooh, Sabre with
oh my goodness!
In a moment, Wilkes with an opportunity here.
Is Wilkes going to get by him? Oh my goodness!
Oh.
Yes, he does. Wilkes gets by, and into 7th place, Sabre. Sabre actually runs off the track and into the wall. Oh no! And Drexler has to take some avoiding action, and he goes
in pole position.
My goodness! Well, he's got all the parts in the car. Let's look at a replay of this. Because he lets him, oh my goodness, I see what happens. He touched the curb on the left-hand side, and it sent him the opposite way. He did hit the barrier, and he spun around. He didn't lose any parts, but there could be suspension damage to that car. We'll have to see, but he's lost a bunch of positions. He's down to 9th now. That's really too bad for David, because he had such a good race going.
Indeed, and another retirement, who I think also joins us here in the booth, is Juha Boss.
Juha Boss!
In failure.
Oh, the engine let go. Oh.
Yes, well, it went a bit over tempo at the end. Oops. Gone.
It's too bad. I'm sorry.
No, it was good fun.
Well, goodness. This is a race that's proving to be a high attrition one. Not that I'm surprised, but definitely I can see how engine failures. I mean, you're really going up and down the rev range quite a lot. So, and frustration may set in for some people. But you were having a good race there for a while. Juha, it looked good.
Yeah, it was fun. I was slightly closing in on Giovanni, so I could have had a shot at 5th. Anything higher would have been difficult, but oh well. I tried.
Well, to bring you up to speed, basically the scenario we're looking at here is Bouchard is looking to basically win the race without
By not stopping.
By not stopping. Now
Yeah.
the gap has been consistently decreasing. It's now down to 12 seconds and change. It'll be.
But I think Grant still has to make his second stop.
Well, that's
If he is
that's assuming he is on a two-stop strategy, which we don't know. We're not sure. The current situation would seem to give the impression that probably that's not the case, because if
he stopped on lap 21, so
yeah, he stopped super early, which surprised me. But then you see where he is now. It certainly turned out to be the right choice, because he wasn't running in clean air. He was bottled up behind Bouchard. He wasn't able to really advance very much, so he figured that it's better to pit now, get in some clean air, and run free. And it appears to have worked out for him. So he's even ahead of Ray, who was leading earlier in the race. So now it's down to, can Bouchard manage the gap to the end, essentially, is what we're looking at. Assuming that Grant doesn't pit, which I doubt he will, frankly, even though he pitted so early. I mean, it's and he's on Pirelli's, I believe.
he's on Pirelli, so
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't pit. I mean,
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
good luck for him if they last. I just don't expect him to do so.
And I will make a note, I missed it when it happened, but Dave Miller has retired in that Lucier as well.
Well, he was having a difficult
Eh.
race.
It happened a while ago. He had a collision with someone who damaged suspension. The repair took so long.
Yeah.
Ah,
I do appreciate having the two of you in the booth. I unfortunately, the circumstances are not the best, but I do appreciate having the two of you in here, because as you follow the race, you tend to your mental faculties tend to get a bit drained after a while. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're glad to help.
Yeah. So the gap is now down to under 11 seconds. So he's gaining about a second every 2 laps. It appears, or a half a second every lap, more or less. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here when we get down to the end here. We already talked about the race that's coming up next week, Juha, the Milwaukee Bull Ring, which is another track that can produce frustrating situations. But that should be an interesting race.
Drexler with a spin off the track. Saber retakes 7th. I don't think Drexler hit anything.
Now let's see, replay. Yeah, he just
Ooh,
lost
just
the back
like me.
end. Yeah, he
Not
just.
quite just like me, but a bit wide on entry.
I think he was a bit wide into the gray and he spun because of he was in the clag, as Hobbsy would say. But there he is back on the track. Yeah, he didn't hit anything, which is thankful. But there goes Saber streaking by. But he's right there with Saber, actually. So this is a good battle right here for 7th place. Yeah, this is actually pretty good here. Good battle shaping up. Both of these guys have advanced quite a lot. Drexler has advanced 12 places since the start. Saber 7 places since the start. Drexler, if he can get a better handle on this car in qualifying, he might have more situations in the race where he can score points. He always seems to do better in the race than he does in qualifying with this car. He's sizing up Saber, that's for sure. And acutely aware that if someone else drops out ahead of him and he gets by Saber, that's 1 point. So.
Yeah, like has been said time and time again, the most hotly contested positions is 3rd place and 6th place.
Drexler got
He
on the
just
curb.
split again.
Good grief.
7th place as well.
But once again, he doesn't He doesn't hit anything, thankfully, and he can continue, but that basically kills that battle, unfortunately. Wilkes in 6th now in the points. Centurami 5th, Nilsson 4th. Ray is doing a good job of holding off Nilsson. Grant, he's now under 10 seconds between himself and the leader of the race. So, you can see, that was actually, I thought that was the McLaren Evan, but it's another red and white car. It's Hlavich. So, but he's reeling him in slowly but surely, and we have 17 laps to go, so there's plenty of time to catch him. So I mentioned too, Juha, we're going into our August break. So this is, except for the Bettenhausen 200, this is the last F1 race we're going to have before the August break. I don't believe we have touring car races before the break, do we?
No, we still have the Bettenhausen turn, and that's it.
Okay, so that's the final race for the first semester, as we sometimes call it, and then we'll be back after August to continue with this series and others. So, well, it's beginning to level off now a little bit. It seems to, and I was thinking that might start to happen here with the Pirellis. Sub 9 seconds, but at some point I would think those Pirellis would start to give up and maybe the gap would level off. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's one of the interesting aspects of these tires, that you can run them pretty much to the ground, and while you lose aspects of the performance, you can still eke out performance out of the tires, but you need to drive it differently. So I'd say the longer you run on the tires, the more start-stop your driving becomes.
Yeah, I would think so. Here comes Grant off of the final turn. He's now coming up on Wilkes to put him a lap down. So
Grant's taking back 2 tenths in that final sector alone.
Okay. So yeah, he's still gaining.
And behind them both, Ray and Anderson is slowly closing in as well.
Yeah.
Looks like Ray pretty much put the afterburners on. He had a stonker of a lap.
All right, we still have this battle now. Well, actually, look at this. Drexler has clawed his way back. He looks up the inside, but there's just not enough room yet. But he gained back all that space that he lost when he went off track. So that's pretty impressive. So Saber might be having a problem here. He had a contact with the barrier a ways back, so I'm guessing his car is not completely straight. That might be part of what's going on here.
He lost a bit of time there.
Well, Drexler gained back all that space way too quickly. Drexler.
Like a yo-yo, really.
Yeah, it is pretty yo-yo-ish.
Cooler than the next one does.
So we'll see if Drexler can, third time's the charm, find a way around Saber here. He's certainly the faster car, there's no question about it.
I think the main strip is the best option for now.
Yeah, he almost did it last time.
And Saber.
Saber onto the grass a bit there. That'll cost him a bit of time. Yeah, I'm thinking the final turn here. We'll see what happens here. Setting up for turn number 1. Oh my goodness! Well, here's the opportunity. Saber had a very kind of sloppy exit there from the corner, sloppier than normal.
Is it good enough?
Oh,
No way.
Well,
another frustrating lap behind him.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, no.
Well, I think he might have been used. I think that was more of an avoiding action than an attempt at an overtake.
Yeah, bit too greedy.
Yeah,
well, he can try again.
Yep. Centurami in the pits now, making a second stop. Interesting. From fifth place. So apparently he couldn't deal with those Pirellis anymore. He emerges in 5th place. He didn't lose a spot.
No, I think the gap between the car and front behind is so much. There's no point in risking driving on those old tires.
Yeah. He didn't. It wasn't a risk for him.
I think if I was still behind him, he wouldn't have pitted. Also because my tires are older.
Yeah.
But now he's in a safe place. He doesn't seem to rev a lot.
So that lends credence to your argument, Juha, about the Pirelli's probably going off on Ridal's car rather quickly here. So the question becomes, but then you look at the time that he's gaining.
Yeah, the time he keeps gaining time. I mean,
even with the fact that he's on Pirelli's and they're probably wearing like crazy, he's still gaining time.
His lap times have been around the 120, so they've not really improved since the last 8-9 laps. Although the last one wasn't a very good improvement again, so there's still life left in them.
Jules is not. I mean, his tires are obviously not fresh; they're worn, and assuming that he's managed them well, hopefully he can. His plan is to just manage the gap to the end, but.
Yes.
What was a 30-second gap before is all the way now down to a 6.
Again.
All right. Bouchard coming off the corner to complete lap number 64, start 65. Time is running out here and you can see there is Grant emerging from the last turn. You could see him as you were looking at Bouchard.
Ooh. Drexler got really close to Saber, but he had another sloppy exit.
So it is a yo-yo situation here. I mean, Drexler gets close and then something goes wrong.
Yeah, and he shoots back like a rocket, and Saber's a very sloppy exit, and he pulls alongside. Well, he will pull alongside.
There he goes. Should be able to make it stick this time, I would think. Downshift.
Oh!
A little bit of contact there, but he manages to get by. Drexler into 7th place. Let's take a look at that in a replay from Drexler's point of view. He gets alongside and has, all the car line, but then a little bit of a touchback there, but not worked out okay.
Oh, Saber's gone off.
Oh, he's lost his front wing. All right, here's the replay.
Yeah, on his own.
Oh, this is another one of these situations where I don't know. He didn't touch the grass there, but he just too much power, similar to what happened to Wilkes a few laps ago. And he takes
and the background Janet goes off.
Goodness. So he's gonna.
Also, there is a battle on for third because Anders is now right behind Ray.
Yeah, it looks like I've been looking at this for a little bit, keeping a look at the time difference for the lead in the second as well. Whatever tires Ray put on the car in that pit stop, while he's been able to get some lap time out of them in the previous 10 or so laps, it definitely looks like he is not quite as happy on the tires as he was in the first section of the race, although Anders now makes a tiny mistake, loses a bit of time.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a reprieve there. The gap is now under 6 seconds. Between Grant Ridal and Jules Bouchard. Oh, Wilkes has gone off the road, and my goodness, he's very lucky to have not collected the barrier there. Let's take a look at a replay. Coming off in the last turn here, he just ran out of grip. Oh, he locked up the fronts. That's what happened. The fronts locked up, and my goodness, he was very lucky to not get caught by those tires, and he keeps going. Wow. And he's in 6th place, too, so, he doesn't want to give up that 1 point. Drexler in 7th place. It'll be interesting to see if he can catch up before the race is over. There's still 11 laps to go.
The gap, oh dear. In one sector, Grant took 8/10 off Bouchard.
Well, it's going to be show and tell time rather quickly here.
We're in for a very interesting race ending, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely we are.
And also, Ray is only 5 seconds behind Grant. Which means Anders is only 6 behind, obviously. So there's only 11 seconds splitting the first 4 cars.
All right, well, Grant's getting closer and closer all the time, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens here. Unconventional tire strategies from both the first and second place cars. And I guess on a circuit like this that's so adverse to overtaking people, you have to get creative if you want to advance your position. And I think that's what we've seen out of both of these drivers today is unconventional approaches to get ahead. Yeah, almost 4 seconds now. And Ray is still ahead of Nilsson, but Nilsson is hanging in there just in case something happens.
It's fluctuating all the time here, and now there's a lapped car coming up, so or Ray wide at the second last turn.
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe an opportunity.
Oh, Nilsson really closes on him here.
Gap is now below 4 seconds between Bouchard and Grant Renault.
Yep. Nilsson closed in really a lot there on. Whoa, he's definitely getting closer here to Ray.
These two make speed in very different ways, and is having to rely more on aero and mechanical grip, and Ray being able to. This is still maybe.
Oh my goodness, he's looking.
Speed.
Yeah, but that's just showing I'm there. That's not an overtaking spot.
No, it would have been very difficult for him to do anything there, but Nilsson is at the point now where he's starting to think about, okay, how am I going to get around him? Catching one thing, passing another. But right with Ray at this point. And these are the two that lead the championship. Ray is in front by 16 points over second place.
Bouchard has sped up a bit. He's taken a 10th back off Grant.
Yeah. You look at the driver's points. These two that we're looking at now, Ray and Anders, 16 points are between them, and here they are on the track together, third and fourth respectively.
Oh, the gap's stabilizing now.
Yep.
I wonder if Grant's tires are giving up.
That's a definite possibility. But then again, you can make the same argument about Jules' tires.
Fair point.
I don't know what compound he's working with, but we mentioned at the start of the race that he's benefiting from a new Honda V12. That's lighter weight, better fuel economy, and rev range is higher. Not that that would magically make the car have more grip, but...
Not really, but it can always help.
Well, having a lighter engine means a little bit better weight distribution,
That's true.
I'd say. And
which could translate into less grip. Which could translate into a little less wear, perhaps. Oh, Grant is getting a bit ragged there, at least on that corner. He was lucky not to run off the track, so he's got to be careful. You can see there the McLaren just going out of the picture. So, yeah, there is Jules. So he can see him now. He should be able to see him. Yeah, you can just see him in front of him here. The spec. 3 seconds is the gap now.
Oh, mistake for Anders.
Yep. I would say both Grant and Anders are in similar situations soon. Anders down on horsepower and a straight line speed compared to Ray, and so is Grant against Juha. It'll be difficult for Grant to pass, for sure.
Well, Ray had a fantastic start when the light went green. He took off like a rocket ship, which I thought might be the case. And John, having qualified on the pole, just had the worst possible lap one you could imagine. Contact, and he basically got swallowed up by the field by the time they got to turn one, and it was contact with other people, and just really too bad for him because he, obviously first pole he's gotten in this series, I believe, driving with McLaren, but he'll be back.
Yes, I noticed a lot of bits flying around on the way to the first corner.
Yeah, there's some stuff laying by the side of the track. The Hungarian marshals are not doing a good job of collecting these parts, but in any case, the gap is getting closer and closer to 3 seconds.
Yep, and Grant can now see his prey.
Definitely,
some of
yes.
these turns. That will spur him on. And we can see that here he has pulled almost a second just on this first sector of the lap here.
I don't know. I mean, Jules is looking really good overall. He doesn't seem to be... The car seems pretty sure-footed. Heading onto the main straight again. Yeah, they're you can definitely see now 2 seconds is the gap. So, and we're down to 5 laps to go. So,
Crunch time coming up.
yeah, show and tell time. Juha, you're going to drive next week at Milwaukee?
Yes, I've got the 74 Eagles for that one.
Oh, the STP one.
Yes.
Oh boy. Well, I think you got a good shot. That's a good piece of machinery. Anders is looking to make it 2 USAC wins for the year. All right, Bouchard coming off the corner now, and the gap is all the way down to 1.5 seconds. So hold on to your hats, everybody. This is going to get really, really interesting in just a lap or two here.
Well, he better make it a move because he's only got 4 laps
Yeah,
left.
the time is definitely running out. You couldn't have scripted this better.
One could say the same about Anders, who's now only 7/10 behind Ray.
Yeah, but I think Ray is probably a good position to defend himself to the flag there. At least based on what I've seen. This battle for the lead here is going to heat up in very short order here.
Oh, Grant have a bit of a wobble.
And the other part of it is traffic in front of this group.
Oh, yes, that could be a contributing factor, yes.
Unwittingly, it could be. Because, as we mentioned, this track is narrow. There aren't many places to hide when you're a car that's being lapped. Oh, he's just... Yeah, definitely we're going to have a battle for the lead before this is over. No question. Oh, my goodness. Grant bounds over the curbs. He won't want to do that again because that definitely... I think you can see on the camera here, he's fighting those tires. He's got alternating oversteer and understeer, I think, but here he comes off the thing. It's still 1.5 seconds. 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go.
this may have been a tire cooling lap for him, and now he is going to go for it proper, because he can see some traffic as well.
Yeah.
And is still shadowing Ray in behind, hoping for Ray to make an error and get him by.
All right, there's a Leighton-house in front of Jules. We'll see how he handles this. Oh, he's going to get bottled up behind him here, but in this turn, that's going to cost him a little bit.
This is one of the places it's difficult to let someone by.
Yeah, you really, it's hard to get out of the way here. Okay, finally, Jules is by. Now, is he going to make room for Grant? Yes, Grant gets by. Comparatively easy compared to Jules.
This is going to be close.
It is 2 laps to go now. We're on the penultimate lap starting now. 2 laps to go.
8 tenths between them.
8 tenths. This is tense stuff.
Meanwhile, Ray's running away from Anders.
I figured that would be the case.
Well, running away is a
Well,
challenge for him. It's
everything's
not great,
relative,
but
obviously. But
He's
Yeah.
maintaining the gap.
that
extending
is.
it, probably.
Oh, getting close now. It's going to have to happen on the final lap. It appears there's another car in front here. I believe it is. It's either Centorami or it's Sabre, one or the other. It's a red car.
The Bouchard, you mean?
Ahead of Bouchard, yeah.
Yes, it is Centurami.
All right, well, that's an interesting wrinkle. Not that Centorami may try to help his...
he's really
great.
flying. Oh, look how
Yeah.
close he is now.
All right, so here we come.
Old tires versus very old tires.
Yeah, basically that's what we're looking at. Final lap now. Who is going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix? It's down to these 2 cars. Grant Riddall, who you're riding with now, and the leader just ahead of him, Jules Bouchard. Has Jules made the right call by not pitting at all? Did Grant make the right call by pitting so early just to run in free air? It appears that he did make the best choice he could have. But is he going to be able to translate that into a win now? He is in the slipstream of the Honda. He's right behind him now, but this is a section of the track where you cannot do anything. It is so hard. He's right there. He's looking for a chance. He goes to the inside. There's contact between the 2 of them, and Grant gets by. Oh my goodness!
Spins.
Jules spins off the track, trying to get the power down quickly. I believe that's the race there. My goodness.
And Anders right in behind
yeah.
Ray for third here. Really close after the chicane. If he can stay really close, he might have an opportunity.
Grant is letting Jules by again.
Well,
He felt the contact then. Yeah.
well, that is an uncommon.
Oh, Anders with an opportunity. Ray slow.
Oh my goodness, going into the final.
Oh, Ray
He's
deep,
running up the inside, and he's got him. He's got him.
He just needs to hold on through the final turn and get the power on well enough.
Well, a very eventful final lap, but there's the checker, and Jules Bouchard has won the Hungarian Grand Prix. Second for Grant. Anders finishes in 3rd, and 4th for Ray. My goodness, that was really a quick succession of cars at the end there. Giovanni Centorami is in 5th, and still has quite a ways to go before he can notch that 5th place. But my goodness, Ray in 4th, Anders 3rd. And that was very sporting of Jules. He realized that...
Grant, you mean?
Of Grant, yes, of Grant. Thank you. Because he realized that it was not a fair way to take that position, and he gave it back to Jules. So Jules is the winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix. 2nd place, Grant. 3rd, Anders, getting by at the last minute. We saw in the second to last corner. Beats Ray Riddall to the flag. 5th, here comes Centorami now. This is going to be him taking 5th place after a good drive. pretty much trouble-free for him in the Dallara Judd. Here he comes, coming out of the last turn. He takes 5th place. 6th and already in the garage is Richard Wilkes. 7th, Mikael Drexler, just outside the points. 8th, Brian Janik, easily takes the flag. 9th for Rob DeVries, just taking the flag. That's a good run for him. Kirsten in 10th. Whitman 11th. 12th, Peter Hlavich. He advanced 10 places during the race in that footwork. That's a pretty amazing feat. 13th, Saber after a very up and down day. 14th, Bruno Chacon. 15th, Juha Boss. 16th, Dave Miller. 17th, Dara Epa. 18th, Hilla. 19th, Oscar Team. 20th, Nick Holliday. 21st, Jonathan Åcerclinth. 22nd, Salvatore Sirignano. 23rd, John Team. 24th, Cesarius Slipinski. 25th, Dante Barbera. And the first car out of the race was Ruben Fernandez, 26th. So that was the Hungarian Grand Prix. Quite an exciting race it turned out to be towards the end there. Not the finish we were expecting, but Anders getting the drop on Ray Radal is certainly going to spice up the championship.
Oh, definitely. It's not going to make a huge difference, but well, I mean, still good. I'm sure Anders would have hoped for a bit more, but
yeah, no question about it.
Well, he certainly did everything he could. He drove the wheels off that Jordan to keep it in contention with Ray, and when Ray made a mistake, I would think Ray could see the whole swapping of positions back in front of him, and he might just get there. Missed his braking point by, say, half a car, ran deep in the final chicane, and Anders with the opportunistic move of the race, I'd say.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, I mean that's what we saw most of the way through the race, is people advancing because other people made mistakes. That was a lot of it. So especially if it didn't involve the front straight. All right, well, that was a really interesting race. Thanks to both Jonathan and Juha for joining me in the booth. Really appreciate the help. As we mentioned before, we're going into our August break. We have one more race before then. That will be the Tony Bettenhausen 200, which is next Sunday. Come drive with us in circles. There's still plenty of cars that are available, good ones, not cars that are just going to be doing laps. You can, Anders has shown us on the time chart that he can do really good laps in an Eagle 72. So if a 2-year-old car can set the fastest time in practice, then definitely there's a chance for pretty much anybody to do well. So definitely it should be a fun race next week. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again to Juha and Jonathan. This is Jason White saying so long from the Hungaroring. We'll see you probably for the next broadcast after the August break. In the meantime, everyone take care and be safe.